1, 2, 3, go!
Trying to make something with the game. Oh! And he makes it!
Welcome to the 2024 Girls Basketball IHSA Sectional 12 Preview Show, presented by BCSC.TV, where we talk about everything Sectional 12 and dive a little deeper into every single team. I'm Eli Balbach.
And I'm Christian Roach, and it's sectional season here for the IHSA Girls Basketball. Eli, I'm super excited. You know, the draw was this past weekend. Brownsburg drew Avon, hometown rivalry. I couldn't be more excited.
Especially with the Sectional 12 being in Avon as well, Brownsburg going on the road to face against their arch nemesis. It's always going to be fun, and it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, you're right, Eli. Let's get right into it here with the bracket. As we can see, Terre Haute North and South drew each other. They're going to face off in their first game. You know, they're not huge contenders here, but it's tournament season. Anything can happen. You know, I'd love to see, like you said earlier, a huge upset win against, Terre Haute South upsetting Terre Haute North would be awesome. You know, Avon and Brownsburg, they're split series 1-1 right now, and Brownsburg's already won away. Both teams have actually run on the road against each other, so anything could happen with that Brownsburg-Avon game. Both are serious contenders here. And then Plainfield drawing the bye, absolutely deserving of the bye. They have the highest winning percentage in this sectional, and they're a fierce team to play. So that whoever wins that Avon-Brownsburg game is going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, like you said, Christian, definitely the bottom of the bracket, definitely overloaded. More than the top bracket. Obviously, the top definitely has a chance making on a regionals because, I mean, like you said, it is tournament season. But, I mean, Plainfield, 14-7, the highest record in the sectional. And then Avon, Brownsburg, they're always going to fight tough against each other. And especially with this sectional, they're going to fight a little deeper.
Yeah, Eli, speaking of Avon and Brownsburg, let's take a look at those past games they've had, past little matches back and forth. You know, first game was a B&O Rotary Bell. It was thrilling. I mean, the Orioles and the Bulldogs were back and forth all night. At one point, the Dogs had them up by double digits, and it was close all the way to the buzzer. I mean, Avery Gordon, she was held to only 16 points, but she still came out with 17 rebounds. But on the other side, McKaylee Butts and Anaya Smith, they just could not be stopped by the Dogs. You know, Butts putting up 22 points and 5 threes, and Smith having 18 points and 11 assists. It was an amazing game to watch. You know, final 62-58 score.
Yeah, especially on the road in the varsity fieldhouse, Brownsburg's home territory, coming in there and just showing them the business. You know, I mean, Avery Gordon, like you said, they held her to only 16 points. But, I mean, 17 rebounds is still amazing.
Yeah, that's no problem for Avery. Like we'll talk about later, she's a rebound machine.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you've got a 6'6" girl on your team.
Right.
So
that second team was the complete opposite, though. The Dogs were on the road in the Orioles gym. You know, the Dogs shut down the Orioles in this game. Their defense was spectacular. They held Anaya Smith to 13 points. Now, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you do, but Anaya Smith, she's their top dog, or she's their top bird, I guess. You know, she leads the team in assists, points, but they shut down their lead scorer that night. Avon really couldn't get anything through that whole game.
Yeah, Brownsburg really just taking it right from the tip. Obviously, as you see there, 62-35, and they really just blew them out of the water. Avery Gordon, 24 points. Really putting it down on the Orioles. But not only that, but really dishing the ball everywhere with every single Dog in that game scoring at least one bucket. And like you said, holding to Anaya Smith to only 13 points when she averages 21. I mean, that's always going to help you on the other side of the ball and just stopping them on the offense.
Yeah, you're right. That's no small order for a defense to do is hold down a top scorer, but they did a great job. That's one thing I've liked from the Dogs defense all year is it's been pretty strong. So let's take a look at Brownsburg's past sectional here. They have not had an easy schedule. You know, they've played some really tough teams like Westfield last week. They've had solid wins, though, against North Central, where Avery Gordon had 29 points. The Dogs had 4 scorers in double digits, and they lost to Plainfield, and we'll go into that more later.
Yeah, Christian, like you said, obviously when you're in the HCC, you're always going to have a tough schedule. But with Brownsburg being just around that 500 mark means, I mean, just the record does not show how great they can be. And, I mean, Brownsburg, they really do have a chance at really upsetting Plainfield. As, like we've said, Plainfield obviously outright one of the best teams on paper. But when it comes to sectional time, teams always come out of their element. There's got to be one upset at least.
Yeah, Brownsburg's always been that team that kind of shows up in postseason play, and I think that's what they're going to do. It's that long-standing tradition of, like I said, showing up during sectional play and really coming up and rising to that challenge. They're really good at moving the ball, and their specialty, especially with Avery Gordon, is those second chance points. I mean, they just have rebound after rebound, and that's where a lot of their points have came from this season. Now, the only thing I really worry about, but I think they're going to tweak it and work on it here in practice as they're coming up to the sectional game, is their free throws and their outside shooting. Sometimes they rush to shoot, they don't run the play, and they kind of just need to slow down and take some time, pass the ball, make quick passes, and wait till they get a good opportunity rather than just dump it.
Yeah, like in that second Avon game when they beat them in the Avon's own gym. I mean, they really moved the ball so well. It was definitely their best game of the year from that point. I mean, putting up 62 points, obviously it's pretty good, but the way they moved the ball and not only got to Avery Gordon, but got to every single player around the court really just helped them win that game. And I mean, it shows it on the paper.
No, you're absolutely right. But on the other side of this matchup is Avon, Eli, and Avon's a really strong team. They've had a back-and-forth season the whole way. No super long winning or losing streaks. The longest winning streaks they've had have only been 3 games. So, but they've had some really strong wins against Brebeuf. Anaya Smith put up 29 points, and McKaylee Butts also had 13. And Plainfield, Avon ended Plainfield's 7-game win streak right out of the gates of their season. So anything can happen between these two teams.
Yeah, we'll get more about that Avon-Plainfield game later, but I mean, really the biggest reason why Avon was able to defeat Plainfield was from their star player, Anaya Smith. I mean, 39 points in that game is just insane. But yeah, Avon, like you said, they've really had an up and down schedule. I mean, their highest win streak's only been 3 games, but right now they're on a 6-game losing streak going into the sectional. Christian, do you think that's going to help determine how this Brownsburg game is going to go?
Eli, nothing's set in stone when tournament time. Teams really change when it comes to that postseason play. I think they're really going to have to bring it, though. 6-game losing streak, like you said, that's not great, but I think that's also because some of their star players have been off the bench or have been on the bench these last few games. But they're a high offensive team. They average around 59 points and 25 rebounds a game. So their dogs are really going to have to look out for that. But don't forget, Avon's beaten every single team in this sectional at least once. The only team they played twice is being Brownsburg, but they've beat Plainfield, Terre Haute South, and Terre Haute North.
Yeah, that is true, Christian. Like you said, averaging 59 points. And then obviously, not only that, but also 25 rebounds, which obviously isn't high number, but you can tell that it's not just an offensive team that already run down and get at the ball. They always get those defensive numbers and always stopping them on the other side of the ball. But also, one thing that really is disturbing about this Avon team, or something they need to work on, is their field goal percentage. And I mean, 36%, it's not super bad, but when it comes to tournament time, you're really going to need to fix those shots.
No, having a high field goal percentage during regular season, you can make up for that elsewhere. But when it comes down to the tournament, you really need those points where they count.
Yeah, and then like we said earlier, obviously they're super inconsistent. I mean, back and forth, winning, losing streaks. Like you said, biggest winning streak only being 3 games. And then right now, as you see, only a 6-game losing streak going into sectionals. I mean, I don't know, Christian. These Orioles, they started to look good, but now I'm not sure.
Eli, I'm not super concerned. I think they still have just as strong a chance as the rest of the bottom of the bracket. Anaya Smith is a tough player for this team. She leads the state in steals per game. Brownsburg's really going to have to stay on their toes, and she can be dangerous.
Yeah, well, Avon, in the first game, they stopped Avery Gordon, only 16 points. That's the reason they got that win. But let's focus on Brownsburg's key player, Avery Gordon. I mean, she's 11th in the state, averaging only 22 points per game. And, I mean, Christian, I don't want to say it, but just guard the paint when you're getting Avery Gordon.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, we watch film, we see the games. That's where she is almost the entire time. She's either blocking the defensive end or she's in the paint on the offensive end getting those rebounds. She has 171 rebounds, Eli. That, like you said, that's one of the top in the state.
And definitely in the clutch as well. She doesn't give up. I mean, last week we saw her with that buzzer beater against Westfield off the miss, grabbed the rebound, put it back up for the win, Christian. And that was, it wasn't it was a dominant performance and her in general, it wasn't just the buzzer beater, but 41 points in that game.
Yeah, no, she had an impressive showing. You know, like the crowd just went wild. I was there watching the game, and it was the crowd blew up because, like you said, it was a buzzer beater. It was really close there. It went to overtime, and it was both teams have really strong players that are going to have to face up against each other. So both teams' defenses are really going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, Avon's definitely has to focus on Brownsburg. Well, one player Brownsburg's going to need to focus on in that first round is, like we've mentioned her a couple of times already, Anaya Smith, averaging 21 points per game. And not only that, but leading the state in steals per game at an astonishing 5 steals per game.
Yeah, Eli, you're right. Like you said, leads the state in steals. She averages 5 a game. That's no small number. She's a quick player, and the Dogs are really going to have to stay on their toes if they want to slow her down. You know, like you said, 21 points a game. She's also their highest scorer. You know, she leads in all the stat categories, for almost all the offensive stat categories. They're really going to have to watch out for her, and the Dogs are going to have to lock her down on defense.
Yeah, especially with Avon not having another player averaging over double digits in that points category. So they're going to have to look for Anaya every single time and she's also small and, like you said, quick. So she's going to be tough to look out for. But, I mean, I feel like Anaya Smith is going to be the one that's either going to push Avon to that playing field game, or if she doesn't get hot, then I'm not sure if they can get past this Dogs team.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If she can't get hot, it's really not looking good for them. And we've got a lot more here coming up after the break.
Welcome back to the Sectional 12 girls basketball preview show. And I mean, Christian, we've talked about Brownsburg, we've talked about Avon. Now let's move on to the Quakers of Plainfield, who did draw the bye last weekend.
Yeah, Eli, they started off their season really strong, 7-0, but Avon snapped that streak like that. So, but they haven't had a super competitive season either. They've had some nice wins against Roncalli, Harrison, and Brownsburg twice. You know, this is a really good offensive team. They average 55 points a game, 25 rebounds, 13 assists, and 11 steals, which, if you looked at the stats, is pretty similar to Avon. If Avon does move up, I think it's going to be a very close match between the two. Not to say Brownsburg doesn't have a chance. But they do really need to be careful with that ball movement. They average 16 turnovers a game. But otherwise, this team is definitely the most deserving of the bye.
Yeah, especially with that bright future as well, with 10 of those 14 players only being a freshman or a sophomore, which, speaking of that, let's look at their key player, which is Hannah Mincer, who is a freshman, and she averages 15 points per game and one of the highest three-point percentages in the state, which is at a 40%. And I mean, Christian, really, she's either hot or she's cold. I mean, she has 8 20-point games this season so far, but then all the rest of those are just single digits. So, I mean, it really depends on Plainfield. Like, if Hannah Mincer, if she goes off, definitely has a chance at making it to that final round. But if Hannah Mincer is really cold, can't get anything going, she also has some backup with Berkeley Williams, who is a sophomore, who has the second highest average, averaging 13 points per game. But I mean, Christian, overall, this team is definitely one of the best, if not the best, in this sectional bracket.
Yeah, Eli, they're a rock solid team, and like we said, they've played Brownsburg twice already, and we know the winner of the Dogs versus Orioles matchup. But no matter which team they face, they've seen both teams have seen Plainfield before the season. In the first game, first game they won against in double overtime against Brownsburg, 79-75. You know, Peyton Benge was third leading scorer and dropped 23 points. Berkeley Williams, she dropped another 20. Both had 3 threes on the night. They were on fire that night against Brownsburg, and they had but they did a really good job keeping up. Avery Gordon did drop 33 points though, and Elle McCulloch had 12.
Yeah, definitely not enough to defeat the Quakers, as it was into double overtime. But then go to the second game in the Hendricks County tournament, and the Quakers not only defeated Brownsburg yet again, but Hannah Mincer went off as well with 24 points. And not only that, but 3 threes and then 7 free throws added on to that. And then Berkeley Williams, second leading scorer, having 18 points, which really, Hannah Mincer really might be the highest averaging, but Berkeley Williams is always right there at the second leading scorer. She's consistent, and you can always count on her.
Yeah, she's exactly what the Quakers are going to need because, like you said, Hannah Mincer is kind of off and on. When you have a player like that who's kind of flippant, you can't always count on her to be at her 100%, it's really good to have a team like that.
Yeah, well, Plainfield, not only did they face Brownsburg, but like you said, they also did face Avon, which actually did, like you said, snapped their perfect season of 7-0. And it was a historic night for Anaya Smith with 39 points. And not only that, with 9 rebounds and then 8 steals. Almost a triple-double with steals included in that. But really, Plainfield had the lead at halftime. But in that third quarter, Avon dominating that quarter, outscoring them by 18, scoring 28 total in the quarter to really put the game away. And before like that, Plainfield did not have any chance of coming back.
Yeah, like you said, they snapped their record. Avon really came to play that game, and they controlled that entire second half, and that's the reason why they broke that winning streak.
Yeah, Christian, no matter who wins that Brownsburg-Avon game, we're going to see a close, tough game against the Quakers, and it's going to be great. But coming up next, we're going to preview the Terre Haute North versus Terre Haute South game, and plus an exclusive interview with Brownsburg's Coach Smiley. You won't want to miss it, coming right up. Welcome back to the 2024 Girls Basketball Sectional 12 Preview Show presented by BCSC.TV. And Christian, we've already gone over all the Hendricks County teams at the bottom of the bracket. Now let's go to the top where it's Terre Haute North versus Terre Haute South. 2 struggling teams facing off against each other to get a chance at a sectional championship.
Let's start off here taking a look at Terre Haute North, the Patriots here, their past few games. You know, Eli, they lost to Brownsburg, Avon, and Plainfield by 20-plus points. But they beat their crosstown rival for the Crown Trophy 47-29, and they didn't trail that entire game. So they've beat their biggest rival, who they drew in the sectional, and they could very well do it again.
Yeah, Christian, like you said, beating their crosstown rival, obviously, when you're having a struggling season, they've won 7 games, but always beating your crosstown rival is always the best feeling because, all over on the other side, they're all mad, and you love it. But, yeah, Christian, like you said, they've really haven't been playing their best basketball this season. 81 points given up to Avon, and, like you said, losing 20-plus to every team. But now let's look at the other team as Terre Haute South has – we said that Terre Haute North was struggling, but, Terre Haute South on the other side is also struggling as well, only having 2 wins total this season, one of them against West Vigo, only by 1 point. And then the other being against South Vermilion, 44-16. But otherwise, Christian, I love a good underdog story, but what are the chances of Terre Haute South really pulling out the W in this one?
Eli, they had a coaching change here back in December. Nothing as much has changed with the record, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean, this coach would come in really strong into sectional play. So we'll see what he does to try and get them back on track here as we move into postseason. They've given up 50-plus points losses to Plainfield and Avon so far. So it'll be really interesting to see how that rivalry of 2, not the strongest teams, but it's tournament time. Anything can happen. Like you said, I love an underdog story. So anything could happen here as we move into tournament time.
Yeah, anything can happen in the playoffs. Teams playing harder than they usually do. Coming up next, an exclusive interview with Brownsburg's own Coach Smiley. You're not going to want to miss it right here on the Preview Show. Welcome back to the 2024 Girls Basketball Sectional 12 preview show, where our very own Christian Roach got a chance to catch up with Coach Debbie Smiley.
Hey, Coach, it's sectional time. We're here. How you feeling coming into tournament play?
I feel like we're playing really well right now. Our team has really grown in a lot of areas. I feel like we're playing well together. We're really sharing the ball well. We're kind of hitting on all 4 cylinders at the right time. So I feel pretty good about how we're playing at this up to this point.
So how do you feel about your team coming to sectionals? You feeling pretty good?
I do feel pretty good. Right now, I think we have pretty balanced scoring. We're shooting a little bit better from the free throw line, and that's always good come tournament time. So I think we just got to keep, firing away and improving each day in practice.
What do you think your guys' biggest challenge you're going to have to overcome coming into sectional play here is going to be?
I think our biggest challenge is, again, we have to continue to hit well from the free throw line. I think that's key. But we have to attack the basket and get to the free throw line, because that's been an issue for us this year as well. We don't get enough free throws. And then when we do, sometimes we have poor shooting nights from the free throw line. So I think anytime you're in a tournament, your guard play, your free throw shooting is really important. I think Avery's kind of been our mainstay all year, so I don't think that's something we're too concerned about. I just think we have to, handle pressure situations and just continue to share the ball.
Mm-hmm. Brownsburg's always been kind of that team that steps up to sectional play and is really there when it comes to postseason. Do you think your team has the ability to do that this season?
I believe so. I just think that's attributed to our strength of schedule. We play one of the toughest schedules in the state, and I think by doing that, it prepares us for the tournament. Looking at the teams within our sectional, we do have the toughest strength of schedule. May not have the best record, but I feel like we're battle-tested coming into sectional play.
So what's going to be your key things to focus on as you're coming in to play in Avon again?
Again, I think we have to focus on, I think they really struggle to guard Avery, so I think we really have to look to get her a touch every time down the floor. I think we have to handle their pressure. They've got some really good guards and guard play, and they sometimes force teams into a lot of turnovers, so I think we really have to focus on taking care of the basketball in the press or in transition, and then getting transition points and slowing down their transition game.
So you've had previous matchups against Avon and Plainfield. How do you think those have taught you and helped you get prepared for upcoming sectionals here?
Well, again, I think, I don't think there's a single recipe to beat either team. I think, it's rivalries with both teams, and so I think we just have to focus on ourselves and not beating ourselves. In sectional play, I feel like we have the talent to win the sectional, but again, it's rivalries any given night. If we have an off night and they have a good night, it's anybody's basketball game. So I think if we focus on ourselves and just playing our best basketball, I think that we're going to put ourselves in the best position.
Coach, thank you for your time. Good luck on the rest of your season.
Thank you.
Thank you to Coach Smiley, and thank you, Christian.
Eli, it's always good and fun to catch up with the coach as they're going into sectional, postseason play, getting their head a little bit and see how they're feeling.
That is true, Christian. But it's almost time. What are your predictions?
Eli, I'm a Bulldog. I bleed purple all the way, and I think the Dogs are going to take it all the way to the regional, to advance to regionals. I think that Avon game is going to be tough for them, but I think if their defense can lock down Anaya Smith, they can beat them on the road again. And then when they move on to Plainfield, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row. Plainfield's a strong team, but so is Brownsburg, and I think if Brownsburg can fire on all cylinders, they can beat them no problem. And then at the top of the bracket, the Terre Haute North and South game. Terre Haute North, if you look at the stats, it should be their game. I love an underdog story, but Terre Haute South, I just don't think is strong enough to advance. And then the Terre Haute North and Brownsburg game, Brownsburg takes it every day.
No disagreements here, Christian. I full-heartedly agree with your predictions, but we thank you all for tuning in to this 2024 Girls Basketball Sectional 12 preview show, and we say good luck to all 398 IHSA teams trying to compete for a state title this year.
On behalf of the entire BCSC TV crew, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.